Cuckoo!
A little birdie told me that today we're going to handle how to do movement with a mouse. And by that I mean things like crosshairs and things like moving your player to go where your mouse is. So basically just mouse controlled movement. Creating a new ActionScript 3.0 document. We need two layers as usual. One for actions, one for art. I'm going to lock my actions layer, go onto my art layer. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a crosshair. Okay, so just like you're targeting something with the scope. So I'm going to set my stroke to no stroke. I'm going to change my fill color to, well, whatever, we'll leave it black. That's fine. I'm going to go to my oval tool. I'm going to click, hold down shift, so I get a circle. And there we go. I'm going to change my fill color to, let's say, neon green for now. Click, hold shift, and make a smaller circle. Okay? Once you have that, select them both. Go to your align panel. Align them horizontally and align them vertically, which you might have to do separate. I think you have to do, if you draw them like this, you have to do vertical first so that they don't overlap. And then you do horizontal, and now we got one on top of the other. There's another way to do this, and I'll show you that right now actually. So you can just draw your circle, select it, turn it into a movie clip. Let's call it temp 1 for now. And we could use our oval tool, make another one. Call this one, let's say, turn it to a movie clip, call it temp 2. Now we have two things we can put over each other, and we don't have to worry about working with drawing objects. So once they're over each other, this actually is probably a better way. We can drag this one in the middle till we get something we like. There we go. Let's go ahead and delete this original one I was doing. Basically what I was going to have you do here is just delete out the middle, and then you have part of the crosshair. Let's go with this. This seems to be working better. So now that we have that, we need some rectangles. So let's go to our rectangle tool. I switched back to a black fill. And just draw something that's bigger than the circle, and name this temp 3. If I haven't said it yet, temp is just short for temporary. And we want to copy this, paste it, go to our free transform tool, hold down shift, and rotate it so that it's facing up now. Select them all, align panel, align horizontal center, and align vertical center. And there we go. We have a crosshair. Except you're probably thinking, well, what's this green thing in the middle? I don't like that green thing in the middle. Well, here's how we fix it, all right? Select everything, right-click, click Break Apart. This will turn everything into a drawing object, and you have it layered properly. You can select all of these green pieces and just delete them out. So now once we have our crosshair without the green, select it all, tap F8, and this we're actually going to call crosshair. I believe it's all one word. Make sure it's a movie clip, set the registration point to the middle. Click OK. Now we can go into our library, click on temp 3, hold shift so you select all these, and delete those. All we need is the crosshair. Alright, so once we have that, we can actually go ahead and shrink this down, just because I mean, we don't need a crosshair that's that big. And we're going to give this an instance name of all lowercase, or I should say MC crosshair. There we go. Capital C in the crosshair. Press enter. Bam. Beautiful. So let's get this thing working. Under our actions, tap F9. We need to add an event listener. Event listener for the enter frame event. So just every tick of our frame, enter frame listener. Oh, I guess we can name it. How about this? Let's, instead of enter frame listener, let's name this move crosshair. Okay. And we want to say function move crosshair, because remember we have to make our function. It's expecting the type event. It's not returning anything. And bam, there we go. Got our function. How do we actually get our crosshair to be where the mouse is? Fairly straightforward. We say MC crosshair dot x equals, and Flash has a property already set up for you where you can get the mouse position. It's just mouse, all lowercase, and then capital X. Okay, so let's copy this, and we're just going to change from X to Y and X to Y. So once you save, Oh, we didn't even save to begin with. Oh my lord. Anyway, I'm gonna name this my name dash, what do we want to call it? Mouse movement 1. Click save. There we go. And now if we run, we should have a crosshair that follows our mouse. Pretty cool, right? But now that we have this crosshair, do we really need our mouse showing? Do we need this arrow? This looks kind of ugly, right? Let's fix that. So right below where we added our event listener, let's put a comment, say hide the mouse. And we'll say mouse.hide. Okay, so now if we run, we have a crosshair and you can see our mouse is gone. Well, you could replace that with pretty much whatever you want, and you can even put code onto it. So let's beef this up just a little bit. Underneath here, we want to say MC crosshair dot rotation plus equals, let's say 2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a crosshair that follows our mouse and also kind of rotates. It's pretty cool, right? And you can make this as fast as you want it. You can make it as small as you want it, or slow, small, large, whatever you want to do to this. You can do it pretty much with code. So that's part 1 of this. Part 2 is let's actually get something to move to our crosshair. Okay, so we're going to go back into our art layer. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. Now I'm going to use the fill, this red radial gradient. Click and hold shift. There we go. We got something nice and pretty. I'm going to tap F8 to convert it to a symbol. I'm going to call this follower. And let's call the instance name MC follower. Press enter. Go back into our actions and let's create something that'll get this to follow our mouse, but not exactly. We're gonna give it a little bit of easing, a little bit of realism, and I'll explain how that works in just a minute. But we already have our enter frame listener for move crosshair. We can add another one, or we could reuse this. But I'm gonna add another one. So let's do this. So highlight all of this stuff, paste it again on the next line after you copy it, obviously. And we're going to create another function called, let's say, move follower. Okay, so let's just copy what we have here from our crosshair, new lines, and instead of move crosshair, we want it to say move follower. Okay, once we have that done, well, how is this going to work? First, what we're going to do is we're going to get, we're going to take our MC follower, right? Oops, follower dot X, and we're going to add onto it. We need parentheses for this. Actually, we don't need parentheses. We're going to add the stage dot mouse X, so wherever our mouse is, minus wherever our player is. And what this is going to do is going to say if my mouse is in the top right corner, in my follower is on the bottom left, we're going to see how far away that is, and then we're going to move it based on that distance. So that's nice and all, but if I run this, it'll pretty much do exactly the same as what our crosshair function did. Oops, I did something wrong. What did I do? It says of undefined property player. Oh, oops, I said player X. This should be MC follower. Sorry, player X does not exist. There we go. So now if we run, I only did this for the X-axis, but you can see that our follower is moving exactly like our crosshair is, at least on the X-axis. So what we can do is instead of taking the full distance and moving our object to the point where it needs to be, we're going to only take a percentage of that. So what we need is a variable, and we can actually create this at the top here. We'll say variable used for easing. Ease needs to be less than 1 to work, right? Because if it's greater than 1, it's not going to be a percentage or a fraction of it. It'll be more, and that'll mess things up. So we're gonna make a variable called var, say var or keyword, aim at ease. It'll be a number because we need a decimal for this, and I'll set it equal to 0.2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this variable, we're going to surround this little equation we have here in parentheses and multiply it by the ease. So what we're going to do is we're going to get how far apart our follower is from our mouse, and we're going to move it to 20% of that distance every time. So as our follower gets closer to that point, 20% will be closer and closer and closer and closer. And if I save and run, let me just show you how this works. Now we have this thing that doesn't follow exactly. It has a little bit of lag to it. So if you change ease to, let's say, 0.1, it moves a little slower. I'm going to leave mine at 0.2 because it makes me happy. So the other part is the y-axis. So we can just copy what we have here, paste it in the line below, change this to y, change this to y, and change this to y. Save and run. And now we have an object that follows our crosshair, but not instantly. It has a little bit of easing to it, a little bit of delay. Because in a car, right, you don't just stop and go instantly. You kind of have to take a breather every now and then to you know, build up your speed or lose your speed. So there you have it. This is the basics of a lot of games, at least, you know, basic web games, computer games, and there's a lot you can do with this. So I'll show you how to improve this just a teeny tiny bit in the next video. But for now, there we go. We have something that's pretty fun to mess around with, and I think you can imagine how this could actually be used in a lot of games.